Okay, in the past videos, I showed you how to completely replace an inefficient toilet. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a water valve, the inlet valve for the toilet. This is, a lot of people go by, they call them the trade name Fluid Masters. That's not what they are anymore. A lot of different companies build these same water valves, inlet valves for toilets now, but a lot of people still refer to them by the old original company, Fluid Master. They're still around and they make the best ones, honestly. I still think they make the best type of this valve. I think they've licensed this design out and they let other people make this type. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to replace this type of inlet valve on the toilet. You can watch my other videos and you can see how I replaced an entire toilet and put in a ADA compliant, the correct height, 17-inch, and the 1.28 gallon per flush on the flush. Also, both the toilet that I installed and the toilet that I'm replacing today is going to be a two-stage toilet. Also, if you want to see about a two-stage toilet, look up that video. I show you how to use a two-stage toilet. So here we go. This is, and it's a shame this is a perfect toilet, but it is an inefficient toilet. It has a leak that we can't determine where the problem is at, and it is not the correct height. So we're going to be replacing it, but in this video I'm going to show you how to replace this valve here. This is the water inlet valve for the toilet. So I'm going to show you how to replace this, and quickly let me show you how this works. When you pull the handle down, this is a flapper down here, down at the bottom, that's a flapper. And when you pull the handle on the toilet, that flapper lifts up and it lets the water go down into the toilet and it flushes down your waste. Now this valve over here, water comes in from the bottom of it and fills from the bottom, and you have an adjustment here, and so the water comes in from the bottom, comes through the valve, and it goes in this line here and it fills from the bottom of this pipe, stand pipe, and the water comes in and it lifts this float, it lifts this inlet valve float, cutoff valve, whatever you call these different things, but as this float gets to the desired level, and that's what this adjustment is for. See these adjustments here, that lets you adjust the level at which you want the water to turn off and on. So as that float comes up, the water this tube right here is full of air, and water lifts that tube up, and it lifts this lever, and the lever stops closes the valve off to the inlet. And once again, you have a adjustment here, and because I'm taking this toilet out, I don't care to readjust it, but I will flush the toilet again, and I'm making an adjustment. I'm going to adjust this float down so that it uses only half the amount of water before it shuts off. And if you watch, this valve is going to shut off now at about half the level that it was. I didn't adjust it correctly, but yeah, that's a little more than half, but you'll see that it shut off at a different level now. And that's all there is to these valves. They're real easy to replace, and what would happen is if you were replacing this whole unit, the flapper, if you were getting a leak and you didn't know, you kept hearing water running, it would be a good idea to replace the tube, replace the flapper, replace the inlet valve. So Depends on where the problem was at. Now, if you have a flapper that is discolored, if it's you can tell the plastic has discolored, or the rubber, if you can tell the rubber has been discolored, or if you can reach your hand in there and grab that seal, and if it leaves a lot of black residue on your hand, and if it doesn't quite make a seal on this bottom, see, because it needs to seal under there. It needs to seal where that thing drops down. That needs to seal. Now, there's a couple problems you could have. If this spring, or if this cable, whatever this is here, chain, if this thing is not long enough, this thing could be causing the flapper to stay open a little bit. If it's in the wrong position, you can move this chain sometimes if it's in the wrong position, or if it's too long. I've seen where this chain is too long and then the chain gets hung underneath that flapper and it causes the flapper to not be able to seal. So that could cause you to have a constantly running toilet. You could have a toilet that the valve is bad and keeps running, won't shut off, or you could have one that won't return correctly. It won't fill the toilet up, and that could be a problem with the valve also. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to replace this. Because I'm going to be replacing this toilet, I have to take this loose anyway, because I have to take the supply line off the bottom. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Okay, also I forgot to tell you, tools you're going to need are I use a pair of offset pliers. Some people call them channel locks. That's a brand name. I call them offset pliers. Crescent wrench, possibly, maybe not. Possibly the only thing you're going to need is a set of offset pliers. You could use a crescent wrench, but sometimes I've found that on these nylon nuts, the crescent wrench sometimes will just turn. And I would suggest I always use, now the problem on this one is that my supply line is below my pan, but I always use one of these flat pans to catch the water so that you don't make a mess. And plenty of towels. Always have plenty of towels handy and in the area in case something unexpected happens. And I'm going to be taking this whole toilet out, so I need much more tools, but I'm just going to show you how to replace this valve. So, all right. Also, always, no matter what you're doing, always wear gloves. And I like these. I found these at Home Depot, HDX dual layer nitrile. These are really good gloves. You won't break them or tear them when you're doing your work. I've done many jobs with just one pair. So these are really good gloves. They're about $15 a pack. Okay, so first thing you always want to do is turn off your water supply. Now, I have been replacing all of the shut-off valves in my house because they've all been bad. I've learned that every valve in the house is bad. Problem is with this one, I determined it is good, and I don't have enough room between the line and the floor to cut this line off and change the valve. So rather than make a big long process to this job, I'm going to use this valve for now, and I'm just going to replace this line here. Now this has an old rigid line. Most people don't use these rigid lines anymore. They do. Sometimes I think they look better, but you just don't see them anymore. People don't use them. It's much easier to just use the braided line. And you'll see, I'll show you a braided, well, you may not see the braided line in this because I'm not showing you the toilet, but I am going to disconnect this. I'm going to take this out here, disconnect it from the toilet, because that is actually the bottom of that valve that I showed you. So start off by turning off your main, your toilet disconnect. And if that won't hold, if you turn that off and you flush the toilet and you still hear water coming in that valve, then that means that your cutoff valve is no good. So you're going to have to replace that. And you can get by it by turning off the main supply to your house, but I would always suggest making sure that you have a cutoff at your sink and at your toilet. So if it doesn't work, shut off your main water line and then do the same thing. Do that, make sure that there's no water. You can't hear any water coming out right now. So this one is, that valve is holding. Kind of dark in there, I know. I'm going to try to get the camera under there. This is what we're going to be taking off. And I'm going to try to get as much water out of there as possible. So just the offset pliers. We're going to have our hand ready. We have our towels ready, especially here since we can't control the water very well. You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to get you the shot of me taking this off. It's going to be right on my camera, so I'm going to pull that away. See if I can get maybe a picture there. Me taking it off, because where my camera was at, it's going to get soaked. So let's see if we can do this without making much of a mess. Now, right now we're just taking the line loose. So we got the line loose. And I see that our valve is holding. So now I'm going to get everything situated to, actually I can take this line loose and I'll be able to get the pan on there much better. So now I'm going to take the line loose from the valve. You would probably need two wrenches would be best, but 2 crescent wrenches would work just fine too, to remove this line or that nut from your valve. Now I wanted to replace this valve. I'm not going to be able to do it, so, but we're not going to talk about that anymore. I'm showing you how to replace this. Water valve. So now that is the nut that you're going to remove, and you can use your offset pliers, or you can use your if you have Actually, I think this required. No, you could do it with. Could actually do it with a big crescent wrench. Get a good angle on that. So I'm going to get under it. It's hard to do sometimes these jobs overhead just by imagining what it looks like underneath. So most of the time you just got to get down here with it. Now I'm pulling the nut off now. This actually goes to the actual valve. Now, when I pull the valve out the top, the remaining water is going to rush out of the tank. See, that's what we did. Took that valve out. Then this hole, this fill holes, it just pulls off. It's just a clip that clips onto that fill tube. And there you have it. This is the complete unit. And this is a very good one. This one actually has a brass fitting down here at the end. Most of them nowadays are plastic. This is a very good one, and because it is still in very good working order, still it looks brand new to me. I'm going to hang on to this one in case something goes wrong in the future, and because it has that brass, this is a really good one, so I'm going to hang on to this one. And there you have it. That's all there is to it. You've pulled out the fill valve for the toilet, and to put it back on, just do that same thing in reverse. That's it. That's all there is to it. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe if you like seeing videos like this. I also had to do some little bit of stuff showing what I do during the week with my twin girls. So if you like that kind of content, or if you look for this kind of content to help you get through some projects, be sure you subscribe. So remember, they may do it another way, but that's the way I do it. We'll see you next time.